poetics since 2007. Dr. Ramakrishna was a co-investigator for the encyclopedia project Jyotishya Vishwakosha and a principal investigator for the project Idiomatic Expressions from Classical Sanskrit Plays funded by Sanskriti Promotion Foundation. Sir has designed several innovative courses. To name a few: Kautilya and Public Finance Administration, Purusharthas, Perspectives from Mahabharata, Life Lesson from Bhagavad Gita, and many more. Sir is also a member of academic bodies such as Academic Council and Board of Studies at several institutions. Dr. Ramakrishna Pejattaya is one of the few practitioners of the art of Avadhanam in Sanskrit and classical Kannada. He has performed more than 25 Avadhanas till date. With this brief introduction, I request Sir to begin the session. Before that, participants are requested to pose the questions in the question and answer chat box. Will be taken up at the end of the session. Over to you, sir.
Krishnam Vande Manthapashadram Divyarthakakratim Shikhabandhatvayopetam Reshmi Madhyakarastam. Pranams to one and all. Thanks to Ramesh ji and Sindhuja ji for organizing such a wonderful lecture series, and I'm sure that all the participants would be greatly benefited through this lecture series, which is spread across this particular week. So my topic, so can you please give me the option of screen sharing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so the topic given to me is IKS sources for management. So first of all, I submit humbly that I am neither a scholar or researcher in the area of management, nor a profound scholar in IKS, which is Indian Knowledge Traditions, which itself is a cluster of multiple branches, Chaturdasha Vidyasthanas, Chaturdasha or Ashtadasha Vidyasthanas. But whatever some thoughts I gain in my mind through while having some discussions with the interns or the students or the professors of management. So whatever thoughts have come to my mind, I gathered, and I'm trying to getting some insights from that I hope would be helpful for the researchers who are, and the students also, who want to pursue their research in this particular area. So without further delay, let me go to the topic directly. And another thing that I wanted to share, that this topic, the nature of this particular topic is a generic one. So you may encounter that some other discussions that are going to happen or already happened in this particular series are specific ones. But here it is an idea to just give a holistic picture of the area of this area of management, and particularly what are the sources from Indian knowledge traditions that can be seen or that can be explored by the researchers. Okay, so with this background, let me start. So the first thing, before we enter into, while entering the topic, first thing we must understand that there is no separate branch for management in Indian tradition. So, for example, if we want to speak about the Indian IKS sources on mathematics, we have several texts dedicated to mathematics. For example, Aryabhatiya is there, or Bhaskaracharya's Leelavati and Bijaganita, or Bijaganitavatamsa, Ganita Kaumudi. Such texts are available. Or if you want to speak about the astronomy in India, works such as Siddhanta Shiromani, Surya Siddhanta, and all are available. Similarly, if you want to speak about public administration, Arthashastra is a magnum opus. So such texts are available that are dedicated to discuss one particular branch. Whereas the branch of business administration or management, for this particular branch, Vidya Shakha, there is no text dedicated to that particular branch. That we must understand. And the reasons for that we may discuss later. Why such texts have not been authored in India, particularly with respect to business administration. That we can discuss later. So since we don't, and if continuing the previous discussion, if there are some prescribed texts on same topics, then we can directly refer to those texts and we can actually come up with what are the Indian thoughts with respect to this particular area, or with respect to specific topics in this particular area. Since we don't have such a separate branch of knowledge or area of study, or since we don't have prescribed specific texts on management or business administration, we have to gather or collect the references from multiple sources. And the concepts must be theorized by collecting the references from multiple sources. So we only will have to theorize some of the things that we must understand. And in order to understand it more comprehensively, so let us try to understand what is the nature of this area called management or business administration. So business administration or management is a cluster of multiple topics that also are of various nature. For example, it has something related to finance, it has something related to computer applications, or it has something related to accounting. Along with that, a significant part of management or business administration is a set of skills. So if we see the topics such as business communication or business ethics is a kind of, different. We may not be call it as skill, but so yeah, it is something else. And then all others like business communication or human resources management, organizational behavior, managerial skills for effectiveness, okay, leadership, decision making, or social responsibility. So all these things majorly are set of various skills that we must understand. And in Indian tradition, these skills, there were no specific discipline or texts. They actually deal with the cluster of these skills. So what Indian authors or our ancestors have done, they are aware of the fact that every individual, and another particular aspect we must understand, that these skills are essential for every individual, irrespective of their discipline. Decision making is essential in all of the areas. It is not only restricted to business administration or management. And leadership also, academic leadership also is important. Okay, communication also, business communication may have some additional things that are specific to business in the context of business, but communication in general and whatever the components we teach under that particular title, business communication, verbal communication or non-verbal communication, and noise. So all these things actually are common for any kind of communication, which is not only restricted to business. Similarly, ethics is required in every particular discipline. It is not only restricted to business. So in business, some things may be there specific to business practices. That might be there. But what I'm trying to say is the things that we study or teach in the area of management are essential for every individual, whether you are an academician or you are running some business or some other things also, or you are associated with some other banking in the field of banking or some other areas also. So some of these skills are essential. Therefore, our ancestors, what they have done, since these are essential for every individual and these are the skills, so they try to impregnate these insights in different forms, in the form of subhashitas. And even in our day-to-day life also, these skills are essential, not only in our professional life. So for these purposes, so some of the lessons that everyone must be aware of. So such things have been impregnated in different forms, such as subhashitas or stories. Okay, so therefore we must understand that what are so in order to understand what are the sources, what are the Indian sources that I can explore. So we must understand this particular background. Therefore, while if I want to get the Indian sources with respect to management, I majorly will have to explore these texts, Subhashita texts or stories, and some other things also that we will discuss later. Okay, so now let us come to another angle, another aspect. So when we say Indian sources, IKS or IKS, Indian knowledge systems, so knowledge need not to be documented only. There must be some undocumented knowledge also. So therefore, if so, we can divide the sources as literary sources and non-literary sources. So when we speak about Indian sources for management or for any particular area, so we must understand that some are literary sources and some are non-literary sources. So let us try to get some examples for the non-literary sources with respect to management. So indigenous business practices, that there are some business practices that origin to India, and some business people, they are following those practices even now. So we can go to such people and try to learn what are the unique practices they are actually following even now, and they are becoming successful in their business. So that we can do the field work and we can gather the information. So that also is Indian knowledge systems only. So that we must understand. And already a lot of research is going on in whatever I mentioned earlier. I'm just trying to give a framework of or prepare a framework for what all the things being done in this area. And learning from the practices of other traditional organizations. One is business practices. And so we must understand that management is kind of when something comes into the structure of organization. Okay, so what all the challenges that an organization faces, and what are the solutions to solve those? To get rid of those issues or get rid of those problems. So some of these problems and the solutions with respect to organization can be similar to the business organizations and the between the business organization and the other organizations also. So we can draw some lessons from other traditional organizations. So that is the idea. For example, practices and rituals of tribal communities, or there are different mathas or temples. So these are not business organizations, but we can see that as an organization, what are the best practices or values or beliefs they follow, and how they become successful with the unbroken tradition of so many years or decades or centuries. Okay, For example, actually, with the CES, we are, guiding some interns. I'm very glad that one of the intern actually took the case of Udupi Pariyaya for change management. It is a very beautiful case that in Udupi, if I hope some of you are aware of this tradition, that for every 2 years, the management actually changes. So Ashta Mathas, 8 Mathas are there. And for every 2 years, actually, other Matha, one Matha actually takes the ownership for 2 years. And then other Matha actually takes that ownership. So in that way it goes. Krishna Matha or Krishna Temple, what popularly we call, but it is a Krishna Matha, it is not Krishna Temple. But for our purpose, whatever we call it, should not be an issue. Okay, so that smooth transition is existed for more than 500 years. Okay, so Vadaraja Swamiji actually made that change. He made the system that one Matha assumes the Pariyaya for 2 years, and that tradition is still existed. So what all the things made that transition to happen smoothly? So that case study was taken, and such things can be taken for other topics also. This is with respect to non-literary and Kumbh Mela also. So these cases we can take. These all are non-literary sources, but origin to India, that we must understand. So let us try to understand the literary sources. And as I mentioned earlier, that management or business administration is something which is concerned with an organization. So we have to see the different Vidya Shakhas or different branches of knowledge that actually have been authored from the context of an organization. Indian, whatever Bharatiya Vidya Shakhas, Chaturdasha Vidyasthana or Ashtadasha Vidyasthanas, whatever available, different branches of knowledge. So what all those have been authored from the context of an organization. All philosophical schools actually, they speak from an individual's perspective, not from an organizational perspective. Or Vyakarana or some others like Ganita or Bhasha Shastra. So all these are actually concerned with the individuals, not specific to an organization. So if we see from this perspective, the only thing as a theory which is available from the context of organization is Artha Shastra, Kautilya's Artha Shastra or Artha Shastra tradition. We can say Artha Shastra texts have been authored by different authors. So Kautilya's Artha Shastra is a popular one. There are some other Artha Shastra texts also. Kamandaka Niti Sara is there, and some others authored by the likes of Kshamendra. So all the entire this tradition can be taken, and somewhere the Artha Shastra majorly speaks about the public administration. So those have come as a part of Smriti texts also. For example, Manusmriti's 6th chapter speaks the public administration, Raja Dharma. Okay, so all these can be considered from the context of an organization. So Artha Shastra, and some of the things can be common for any organization, whether it is a business organization or non-business organization. Some of the things can be common, like human resource management or leadership or team player. So these concepts can be similar. Therefore, Artha Shastra plays a vital role. And even now also we see that a lot of researchers, we see from the area of management, IKS and management. So we can see that a lot of papers and books are coming from the, and they are taking references from Artha Shastra major, because it is coming from an organizational perspective. So that is one thing. And the texts like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Panchatantra, and classical poetry, Jataka tales, These are from Sanskrit and from regional languages like Silapatikaram or Tirukural in Karnataka, Vachana Sahitya. So all these things, they actually, many times they speak from organizational perspective, organization or a society. So from those perspectives also they discuss something. So we can, and in Ramayana and Mahabharata, somewhere these have been discussed as theory, and some things should be abstracted from different cases. I mean, different episodes. We have to take up a story and we have to abstract the ideas, what all the principles or business principles have been discussed in particular story or have been impregnated in this particular story. So in this way, Arthashastra clearly speaks like a theory. Ramayana and Mahabharata can provide the perspectives, and Panchatantra also provide the perspectives from a theory point of view as well as case studies also. Okay, so that we can see, and classical poetry, Jataka tales, they also play the similar role. And this is from the context of an organization. For individual traits, so what the things we discuss in this field of management, so some are concerned with an organization, some actually are the individual traits. For example, what is the good what are the features of good communication, or what are the features of essential features required for good decision making or good leader. So for these things we can refer to Subhashita texts also, and rarely people are doing research based on Subhashita texts. There are a lot of standalone, a lot of works that are the treatises of standalone Subhashita verses. For example, Bhartrihari's Niti Shataka, or another Niti Shataka is there, authored by Nilakantha Dikshita. So these texts are the anthologies of standalone Subhashita verses, whereas some anthologies are there like Subhashita Ratna Bhandagara or Mahasubhashita Sangraha. They collect, and Subhashita means actually what actually help us. Subhashita means Sushtu Bhashita. It need not to be an independent work. So even in between different discussions in classical poetry like Raghuvamsha, Kumarasambhava, the works of Kalidasa, Bhavabhuti, or even Vyasa and Valmiki, several such phrases that can be considered as eternal. Okay, they consider some messages that can be eternal. So the collection of those such eternal verses, eternal messages, can be found in the anthologies such as Subhashita Ratna Bhandagara and Mahasubhashita Sangraha. So from anthologies and poetry, so those things also can be referred to. So there are multiple sources. So that is the idea. And as I mentioned earlier, since they are not speaking from management perspective, so we have to abstract the idea, and we only, based on our thinking and all, we have to give kind of framework. Okay. Let us see some well-known examples. So what are the sources have been taken for these theories? These are based on the past research. Okay, what actually researchers have done. So, and how they abstracted ideas from different contexts and related it to the context of business administration, that we can see. So the first one is, there is something called Panchamahayajna, a concept of Panchamahayajna. So 5 daily sacrifices that a householder, a grihastha, must perform these 5 sacrifices every day. Okay, there and these are called as sacrifices. So let us see what are these. So these five called as Brahma Yajna, Deva Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Manushya Yajna, and Bhuta Yajna. So Brahma Yajna, studying and teaching, and those who are not aware of the Indian tradition. So Yajna means not only, Yajna doesn't only mean that offering something on fire, pouring something on fire. So Yajna has a broader meaning. So the very spirit of the Yajna is sharing. It is a respectful sharing. That's a different discussion. But those who know or aware of this particular idea can recall that. So Brahma Yajna means studying and teaching. It doesn't require any fire. Okay, Deva Yajna, sacrifice to gods through fire, offering something to the gods through fire. So that is Deva Yajna. And Pitru Yajna, so it is actually offering water, what we call as Tarpana. Okay, and offering some Pinda Pradana. So these to our ancestors. This is called as Pitru Yajna. In day-to-day life ritual, how it must be conducted, that performed, those things are different. So we don't go into the details of these things. So let us try to understand what actually the entire concept is. The next two are Manushya Yajna and Bhuta Yajna. So Manushya Yajna, sacrifice to human beings. So what does it mean? For the human beings, I mean those who are around us, who are our atithis, for them we have to do some sacrifice. What is that? Offering food to them. Okay, and then Bhuta Yajna. So offering food to the living beings. Bhuta means whatever existed in this world. Okay, so living beings in this world. So Bhuta Yajna means offering food to the animals, birds that are around us. Okay, these five constitute Pancha Mahayajna, and having performed these five sacrifices, only I can consume my food. So before consuming my food, I have to offer the food to these things, whatever Deva Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Manushya Yajna, Bhuta Yajna. And Brahma Yajna is actually studying and teaching. So that is little different. So, and Gita also says, Ye pachanti atma karanat. So, bhunjate te twadham papa ye pachanti atma karanat. Yajna shishta amrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam. Those who actually eat the remainder of these yajnas will attain that Brahma, and those who actually cook for their own sake, they are not actually eating the food, actually they are eating their own sin. In that way, Gita says. And now, try to analyze this particular action from or concept from a business point of view. So this concept can be related to CSR, corporate social responsibility. So the last two are actually social responsibility only. Manushya Yajna, I have to offer the food to the human beings, considering it as my duty. So by giving, I cannot become superior. But if I don't don't offer, I become sinner. Okay, and Bhuta Yajna also, offering food to our living beings also that are around us. So these things, it is our social responsibility, because Grihastha is only the earning class. Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa, they are not earning people. So we have to understand the ashrama dharmas also. And now Brahmacharis or Sannyasis, they depend upon the Grihastha only. Okay, householder only. So if a householder gives, then only those Brahmacharis can eat. Otherwise, they cannot. Okay, so based on these things, it is clearly said that the spirit of social responsibility can be seen in the concept of Pancha Mahayajna. So this is one particular aspect. So the second one, a popular one, is the framework of Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So the idea of Purusharthas can be connected with the topics such as motivation or Maslow's need theory. And can we revisit the Maslow's need theory based on the Purushartha framework? So he goes with the pyramid order, but actually, if we analyze our nature, we don't think like, let me fulfill my basic needs, then I go to my emotional needs and all. So there is a scope for revisiting the Maslow's need theory based on the Purushartha framework. And the same framework can be taken to analyze the purpose of business. Okay, the goals of individuals can be taken as goals of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. These are the four purusharthas, the goals, ultimate goals of every individual. So the same can be taken as the goal of a business also. So the purushartha framework can be taken for different discussions. And other things like leadership, multiple papers have been written on leadership from Indian perspectives. So people have taken Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, or Mahabharata, the case of Rama or case of Hanuman, and a lot of literature is available. There is still scope for research in this particular aspect. So, and again, so there is nothing, there is no direct statement with respect to leadership. And in the area of management or in the area of business administration, leadership actually majorly discussed from a business point of view. The scope might be a little larger, but if we see in our tradition that leadership traits can be seen, the discussion of leadership characteristics can be seen in different contexts. For example, what are the characteristics that a king must have? Okay, so or for a purohita, for a mantri. Okay, and then in Arthashastra, all these have been discussed, like what are the characteristics that required for a king, for a purohita, or for an amatya. And not only that, different departments have been mentioned. Okay, silk department, Sutradhyaksha, and Mudradhyaksha, passport. So different things are there, Navadhyaksha. So in different contexts, different supervisors also have been discussed. And in the beginning, it is second Adhikarana of Arthashastra. So it discusses majorly that supervisors of different departments. And in the beginning of every chapter, he describes, Kautilya discusses that what are the traits required in the supervisor of this particular department. So those characteristics also, some of those also can be taken for the leadership perspectives. And even interestingly, in Brihat Samhita, so it discusses the characteristics of a Daivajna, of a Jyotishika. So he also was a leader. So leader means who actually leads from the front, actually who guides others. And if we can see from those perspectives that all these people, Purohit also is a kind of guiding person. Okay, so, and we can see that different contexts actually, these chapters discuss the different characteristics, and we can take all those ideas, okay, and we can then see that what are the common characteristics that have been prescribed irrespective of their particular, with respect specific to their particular role, or common to any kind of leadership. That differentiation we can do, that what are the common to any kind of leadership, and what are the traits mentioned for specific to their particular roles. So that differentiation also can be made. So Arthashastra, Smriti texts, Brihat Samhita, and even in Ramayana and Mahabharata also, we can see such discussions. And for leadership models also, that inspiration leadership, and whether it is decentralized or single-handed. So for these also we get some insights. For example, for distributed leadership, we can see a reference that Sahaya Sadhyam Rajatvam Chakramekanna Vartate from Kautilya's Arthashastra. Okay, so the kingship can be successfully executed with the help of associates. One wheel alone cannot run. chakram ekam na vartate. So at least for a gadi, at least 4 wheels are required. Only with only one wheel, at least 2 are required for cycle kind of thing. Okay, only single wheel cannot make a vehicle to run. So similarly, single person cannot run the institution or organization. So such insights also can be seen. And even in Mahabharata, in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, there is a beautiful phrase that apariyaptam tadasmakam balam bhimabhirakshitam. While adequate, apariyaptam tadasmakam balam bhishmabhirakshitam. Paryaptam tudametesham balam bhimabhirakshitam. While adequate is the force of theirs, which is guarded by Bhima. That's what Duryodhana is saying. And we all know that the leader of Pandava's troop was Drishtadyumna, not Bhima. So now Bhima Bhirakshita. So it was protected by Bhima. Then what was the duty of Drishtadyumna? So they might have the idea of distributed leadership for the protection one person or for attacking another person. So such idea might have been there. So that I think it can be an interesting case. Those who are interested in this particular topic. And Arjuna of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, can be a good example for failed leadership. And I heard a lecture on this from Professor B. Mahadevan, who is a professor in IIM Bangalore and who is known for his experiments, Gita and management. Okay, so, and some good cases for a team player, Anuji Vrittam in Arthashastra. So these are some of the things that we can see here in all these cases, that how the ideas have been taken from different sources or must be taken from different sources, and how we have to theorize. Okay, so these things we must understand. So let me discuss the same with a fresh example. So I have taken a topic, communication. Okay, so I saw that on this particular with my, I searched for the material on communication from Indian perspectives. So very less and material was gotten, and they are not actually giving a comprehensive picture. So I tried to gather some references. I am actually working on this to come up with, and for that some other insights also required from management or from media studies also. So, but let me share some of the Indian insights on communication. So what we teach, the contents we teach in business communication, verbal communication, non-verbal communication, written communication, organizing meetings, organizing interviews. So these are some things, and media literacy, okay, or e-mails, and also these things actually we discuss particularly with regard to business communication, and some other things also might be there. And while discussing about communication, I saw that popular model. So what are the characteristics of good communication? So there is a popular model called 7 C's, introduced by some researcher in 1952. So he says that 7 C's, so clear, concise, concrete, correct, coherent, complete, and courteous. These are the characteristics of good communication. And I saw that many professors actually take this particular framework to discuss the communication skills. So let us see what are the Indian resources on communication. Where all we find there, as I mentioned earlier, there is no independent text that actually discusses the communication. So we have to get the information from different sources, gather information, references from different sources, and try to come up with our own framework. But all these are based on Indian indigenous thoughts only. That we must understand. Okay. So where all we find sources on communication, Subhashita texts, and as I mentioned that there are independent Subhashita works like Bhartrhari's or Nilakanta Dikshita's Niti Shataka, whereas somewhere we find such phrases that can be called as Subhashitas in other different literature, Vedas or Subhashita or classical poetry like Raghuvamsha or Abhijnana Shakuntalam, even in the texts like Ranna's Gadayuddha in Kannada, okay, Nannaya or Potana from Telugu. So we can get the resources from different literature that we call as Subhashita, and various cases from epics and poetry. So there are discussions in Ramayana, Mahabharata or poetry such as Kiratarjuniya, where a discussion happens that how the communication skills of this person excel. For example, a popular example, the communication skills of Hanuman in Ramayana in two cases. One, the first time when Hanuman meets Rama in Rishyamukha, and the second one when Hanuman comes with the message, comes back from Lanka with the message that he saw Sita. So let us, the second one I have with me, that will be discussed later. And another very interestingly, so 4 types of Abhinaya. Abhinaya is something that acting. Actually, what is the meaning of the term Abhinaya? If we closely analyze, Abhinaya is a communication. Abhinaya is an expression. And Natya Shastra says that Abhinaya can be done in 4 ways. Four types of Abhinaya have been mentioned in Natya Shastra texts. Those also can be taken for communication, for the discussion on communication. That we will discuss later. So first, I mentioned that the Subhashita texts, how they speak about communication. So in Taittiriya Upanishad, in Medha Sukta, it says that Jihva me madhumattama. The mantras goes like somewhere in between. It says that Jihva me madhumattama, may my tongue become the sweetest. It means may I speak sweetly, may my tongue become sweetest. And Niti Dvishashtika, this verse is very beautiful. I loved this verse. Hitavakta mruduvakta vimrishyavakta nachapi bahuvakta ritavakta gunavakta smitavakta durlabhav purushah. So it says Hitavakta, the one who speaks beneficially, which actually Hita, beneficial for everyone, Hitavakta. And Mruduvakta, who speaks softly or gently. Vimrishya Vakta, thoughtfully. Who Vakta means who speaks. Vimrishya Vakta, who speaks thoughtfully. Nachapi Bahuvakta, and the one who doesn't speak much. Okay, who speaks sparingly. And Ritavakta, the one who speaks truthfully. Gunavakta, discerningly. And Smitavakta, the one who speaks pleasantly, with Smita, with Mandahasa, with the light smile on his face. So that person is rare indeed. Durlabhav Purushaha. So such people are very rare. That's what Niti Dvishashtika says. It's a work prior to Adi Shankaracharya. So now, very interestingly, this verse also gives 7 characteristics of good speech. Beneficially, gently, thoughtfully, sparingly, truthfully, discerningly, and pleasantly. So we can see the coincidence. Okay, and from classical poetry, we can see that several references where someone's speech has been appreciated. So one example we can take. So this is from Bharavi's Kiratarjuniya, where the conversation between Indra and Arjuna happens. So here the speech is described in this way. Prasadaramya mojasvi gariyo laghavanvitam sakankshamanupascaram vishwagati nirakulam न्याय निर्णीत सारत्वा निरपेक्षमिवागमे अप्रकम्प्यतयान्येषा माम्नाय वचनोपमम्. In this way it goes. So Indra tells Arjuna that your speech is unambiguous, charming and resplendent, prasada, ramya and ojasvi. Then gariyaha laghavanvitam. It is concise and yet comprehensive. So concise in terms of words, but in terms of meaning, it is comprehensive. So less words, more meaning. That is the idea. And sakansham anupaskaram. It doesn't express everything explicitly, but does not supplementation. It is of wide significance, yet not confounding. So see how beautifully the speech has been described. Because it is firmly anchored in logic, it appears to be independent of scripture. Yet, because it is undisprovable, it comes across as a scriptural utterance. So, I mean, how our word should be yukti yukta. It should not be disprovable. Okay, all these things very beautifully have been accounted in this particular verse. And I mentioned that in Ramayana, we can see a couple of instances where Hanuman, the speech of the communication skills of Hanuman have been appreciated. So here, it directly doesn't, I mean, here in this context, Hanuman's speech is not appreciated, but we can appreciate. And the commentators also are of the same page. So Hanuman came back and he came to Rama with the other Vanaras and he reports what he had in his journey to Lanka. And first he says that having crossed the sea consisting of 100 yojanas in the coast of Vaidehi. So I saw and I reached Lanka, okay, all those things. And immediately he says, so concisely he starts and Tatra drishta maya sita. He doesn't go on elaborating that first I entered Lanka, then I entered Ravana's Antapura, I couldn't see Sita there. Actually, those things happened, right? So I searched everywhere. I was very depressed. And then some Ashariravani happened that Sita is in Ashokavana. So I went there. In that way, he doesn't actually elaborate. He clearly first says that Tatra Drishta Maya Sita. Drishta means, you can see here, I saw your lovely wife Sita. The first thing, so first two verses actually, it says that I crossed the river and I entered Lanka. And immediately he says, I saw her. That's what actually is essential for Rama, whether she is alive or not, whether he could see her or not. And that drishta itself communicates everything. Darshana kriya and drishta is a passive voice, and it clearly says that it's in Strilinga. So drishta, so it means Sita was seen there. So all these things have been communicated very clearly and immediately. So that also is very important characteristics of a person with the good communication skills. He must go to the point immediately, not actually beating around the bush. So that those things also can be appreciated with this particular case of Hanuman. And then I mentioned that Abhinaya, also very interestingly, this is the, I think, only one thing that can be taken from Natya Shastra for in the context of business administration or management, that Abhinaya actually is a kind of expression or communication. Okay, so and Indian Natya Shastra identified 4 types of Abhinaya. It is an effort to include all possible ways of pleasant and productive communication. So what are those? Angika Abhinaya, expression through the movements of the limbs. Vachika Abhinaya, expression through verbal communication. And that also not direct, indirect. Okay, that we can discuss later. I mean, we don't have time, therefore I'm skipping. And Aharya Abhinaya, expression through the means of makeup, costume, stage. So there are different ways to express. isn't it? So aharya means that is something external. So my dress also can communicate something. Okay, if for example, I am a business organization and I am deeply rooted in Indian ethos, so my dress or my attire also should speak that. So all these are actually making aharya abhinaya. And then sattvika abhinaya, my expression through my sattvika emotions. Okay, romancha, that sweda, perspiration and excitement. So all those things based on sattva, based on our emotions. Okay, horripilation or change of voice. So all these things actually constitute abhinaya, and our Natya Shastra actually beautifully identified all the possible ways so that the communication can be effective, pleasant, and productive. So that was the idea. So even for the communication, we can include, because communication is not only a skill, actually, I mean, we have to refine our thoughts and our words. So a lot of critical thinking, so logic also are required. So these things also can be discussed. So in summary, what are the major literary sources? Non-literary sources, I mentioned earlier that traditional practices, business practices, or non-business organizations also. The practices of non-business organizations also can be taken for non-literary sources. So we are actually speaking more from the literary sources. I have limited my scope. So in general, for theoretical discourses on management, so how to, what are the characteristics of a good leader? So for all these things, Arthashastra or other things also, strategy. Okay, for these things, Arthashastra, Niti Shastras, Shukra Niti is there. So Bhagavad Gita also provide a lot of insights on these things. Ramayana and Mahabharata. And Subhashitas also give a lot of resources for theoretical discourses in different aspects of management. And for case studies, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, and other story literature provide a lot of insights. And they provide a lot of case studies, and we can abstract the ideas from those cases. And other sources also become handy for specific topics. For example, Smriti text might be helpful while discussing business ethics, or Nyaya Shastra might be helpful while discussing critical thinking. And Natya Shastra becomes important or becomes essential, or can be looked into while discuss communication skills. Okay, and last but not least, similar resources can be found in regional languages as well. So when we say Indian knowledge systems, it is not restricted to Sanskrit. So all Indian languages must be taken equally, and we have a good amount of literature in our regional, all Indian languages. So all those things must be considered, and we can take, since I have studied these texts, therefore I have taken these as example. There is always scope to come up with the ideas from different other literature also, Sangam literature for the Tamilians or for Kannada people, Vachana Sahitya or Dasa Sahitya, these things also would be more helpful. So with this, let me stop here. And as I mentioned earlier, whatever I could share are based on my limited observations. So, and I'm not a not an expert in the area of management or business administration. So with this, let me stop. So if it is of help for you people, I would be very glad. So with this, let me stop. And once again, thanks to Sindhu Jaji and CES for organizing such a wonderful lecture series and for inviting me. Thank you, Krishna Arpanamastu. And for all the participants also, they are very patient and listening to this lecture. I am thankful to all of them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So beautifully you have explained and you have given a lot of insights about literary and non-literary sources. and 5 sacrifices expected by an ordinary people. And also have taken, beautifully connected the leadership styles and leadership models by taking from Kautilya Arthashastras, Ramayana, Mahabharata. It was very interesting. Sir, we have a question.
Okay.
Can we take up, sir?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay.
We
Sir,
can take
question
a couple
from-
of questions. Anyone,
Yeah.
audience, they can raise their hand also, so we can ask them.
Sir, a question from Divakar Singh. No, just there. It's not a
It's a
question.
feedback, yeah.
Beautifully, it's a feedback given.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Your session was fantastic and enjoyed thoroughly. Participants, if you have any questions, you can raise your
I think
hand.
one hand is raised.
Yeah, sir. Yes, Shweta Avadani, ma'am. Just let me.
Sir, namaste. It was a wonderful session. I particularly my research connect with your insightful session. So just one question I want to ask is that, sir, is there any information which we get that about knowledge transmission in any Manusmriti or anything you particularly which comes into your thoughts and your learnings, sir, please?
Knowledge transformation. Huh?
Like tacit knowledge into explicit, how it has been done, been a while through a decades or through a generation.
Okay, so yeah, if I have gotten your question correctly, so
Yeah.
I mentioned that Brahma Yajna is one of the sacrifice that a person must pursue every day. So Brahma Yajna means studying and teaching. So teaching is my day-to-day life ritual. So I have to consider teaching as my day-to-day life duty. Therefore, many people actually, even if you see that without in Gurukula tradition or some people actually they teach from their home or whatever through different means, they consider it as their duty and they do it. So this is this spirit actually helped India to transmit that knowledge into next generation, into the next generations. And it is also called as yajna, jnana yajna. So the spirit of yajna or the spirit of Brahma yajna, I think that helped us in transmitting this knowledge to the next generation. So I hope if the answer is addressing your question, I'm not sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Is there any reference for this, sir, anywhere?
Yeah, actually from Smriti texts, even in Amara Kosha, you can see that Pathoya Agashchatithi Nam Sapariya Tarpanam Balihi Ete Pancha Mahayajna. Or else I can share that with you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very, very insightful. Thank you so much.
And even in Bhagavad Gita, Shreyan Dravyamayadhyajna Jnana Yajna Parantapa. I think it comes in the 4th chapter. So Shreyan Dravyamayadhyajna Jnana Yajna Parantapa. It actually says that Jnana Yajna is greater than Dravya Yajna. So Dravya Yajna means offering something to the deities through the fire. But Jnana Yajna actually is sharing the knowledge. So that is superior than Dravya Yajna. So these references are there. These actually motivated the individuals to transmit the knowledge pass the knowledge to the next generations. Yeah.
Sir, there is one more question from Suresh.
Okay.
Your session was interesting. Indian thought has a lot of stotra and stalas, Puranas. They also indicate how people responded to difficult situations. Is there any systematic study in this regard?
Okay, so yeah, they also indicate how people responded to difficult situation. I completely agree with you. And different people actually find different ways to come out with to manage themselves, right? So to manage the stress or to manage the emotions, different people actually go different ways. For some people, it might be bhakti or completely surrendering. For some people, to manage stress or to manage the emotions, art appreciation also. So they, even now you can see that some people, they devote some part of their life, their day-to-day life, to listening to some music, classical music, so that they can forget all the stress of the day and they can come fresh in the next day. And for some people, yoga or meditation, these things help. So that is definitely. But whether research has been done, pursued in this, from these perspectives, I am not aware of this. So I think the people from management background may answer you better. So I'm sorry for that.
I think only a couple of feedback. So it's like interesting session, great session. So much knowledge was acquired from Bala Narasimhan sir.
Okay. Thanks to all for the motivating feedbacks. Thank you.
Parmesh sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, before we end the first session of today, would you like to give concluding? Would you like to give any concluding remarks?
Yeah. So this is a Jnana Yajna. So, and we all should participate, and it is a great time. And we are in the golden era that now people are, I mean, the government also in favor of bringing Indian insights in academia. Earlier, actually, people were actually doing the research of their own interest and they are trying to bring these insights into the academia. But now, from all ends, actually, we are finding a lot of positive, what we say, environment. So it is a golden age, and we all should engage us in particular in this particular jnana, and whatever we can do, that we can take one particular area and do some kind of research, and in our teaching, in our research, if we can bring Indian traditions or our so it is called something, there is something called as rina, and we all are rinis to our ancestors, so they actually preserved this knowledge and transmitted to us, and it is our duty. I don't say it is our responsibility, it is our duty to revive that knowledge or to preserve that knowledge and to transmit it to the next generation. And we are in a golden era, and we should make it happen. So that's what I want to say, and I'm sure that all are with me in this, I mean, in this opinion. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Yes, audience, we have come to an end of the first session. So thank you. These are the two words to express my humble gratitude to today's speaker, Dr. Ramakrishna Pajattaya. And also on behalf of audience, and personally thank Bharatiya Management SES team for organizing this beautiful e-lecture series. And also last but not the least, I thank the audience for your active participation. We had a very good learning. Thank you so much, sir. Over to Dr. Sindhuja.
Thank you, Parmeshwar sir, for moderating the Q&A session, and thank you, Dr. Ramakrishna Pajazaya ji, for the humility and such a reverence towards the subject. So much learned from you. Thank you so much, sir. Now we are coming to the second session of the day. So I take my honor to introduce today's session speaker. So Dr. Professor Muralidhar. So he will be speaking on innovation and unique practices in Indian startups, learning lessons for potential entrepreneurs. So Dr. Muralidhar holds a doctorate degree in commerce from Bangalore University, as well as he has two MBA degree to his credit, along with MCom, MHRM, and his areas of specialization include human resource management and marketing management, and his critical acumen and penchant for academics have taken him places, and he has achieved highest distinction possible in the area of commerce and management. Dr. Muralidhar has completed 28 years of teaching both at undergraduate and postgraduate levels, and he is also a research guide. He has produced about more than 12 PhD students and guided many minor and major projects, especially the consultation projects with industry, academia, and related to policy advocacy as well. Dr. Muralidhar is a recognized research supervisor for different research programs in different several universities. He is a passionate researcher himself and carries spirit of inquiry and academic excellence by encouraging and motivating young researchers. On behalf of Center for Education and Social Studies, sir, we are honored to have you for this Navaratri e-lecture series, and I welcome you to this session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Am I audible, Sindhuja, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, and very good evening to all the participants. And at the outset, I take this opportunity to thank Center for Educational and Social Studies, Bengaluru, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to interact this Dasara evening. And I wish a very happy Navaratri Dasara to all of you. And for the next 60 minutes or so, we shall be trying to discuss few important aspects of what is innovation and what are the innovation practices which are very unique that we can see in the Indian environment and in the Indian society, and how these practices could help the Indian startups to stabilize and sustain in the business, and also they can take it forward to the next levels. So basically, yeah, Sindhuja madam, shall I just share the screen?
Yes, sir. I have made you co-host.
Yeah. Madam, is my presentation is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So innovation and unique practices in Indian startups. What are the learning lessons for the young entrepreneurs and the potential entrepreneurs? So basically, for any startup, it is the innovation that is the major crux of the business. And today, I just have planned my presentation and discussion with regard to few important aspects like what is innovation and what are the unique practices in Indian business environment, and with regard to Indian startups, what is the current setup that which we can come across, and who are the potential entrepreneurs, and what are the learning lessons for the potential entrepreneurs from the Indian business practices and the Indian business environment, and how the potential entrepreneurs can take it forward, the understanding of Indian ethos and Indian environment, and to make it as a major input for bringing up the startups. Basically, why innovation and what is innovation? See, all of us understand innovation is thinking out of the box. Instead of working on the same, line, if you think, differently, and you try to do things differently, and which will result in better, faster, and cheaper. Probably in the business context, that is innovation. So you should have an idea which is altogether afresh, and the idea is new one than the existing, idea which may be offered in terms of product or a service, or that innovation maybe the newness or a new thought maybe in terms of the process of a particular business process as such, and it should be creative. So creativity is another important aspect. And finally, with a vision, in the long-term vision, it is not for any short-term gain. Innovation is taken up with a long-term vision, and that should be backed by an inspiration to do new things and to establish new things and to offer new products and services, to offer very comfortable supply chain or some networking to the customers. And probably when it comes to social entrepreneurship, offering a wonderful living for the people, this innovation can be used as a major float. And in the process, that results in terms of growth, business growth, in terms of profitability, in terms of market share, in terms of sustainable business model and things like that. So basically, innovation is something which is very continuous. The business process has to have a particular life journey as such. So innovation is a continuous process, and the businesses which are innovative in character offers always better products. So basically, the startups, when we discuss innovation, is the basic foundation of any startup for that matter. When we look at the new businesses or new formats of businesses, take for example some of the startups which came into existence during the last 10-15 years, very well established. We can take the example of maybe Book My Show or Make My Trip or Redbus, things like that, or the latest additions to these startups like Rameshwaram Cafe, or on the Bangalore city, a very next day you find some innovative business. So the basic idea of innovation in a startup is doing with a altogether different idea and a different approach. So that can be considered as innovation. See, when you look at the innovation, there are 10 different types of innovations. When it comes to the customer experience, you have a few types of innovations. And when it comes to configuration, when it comes to offerings, there are different types of innovations. This is considered as the innovation wheel as such. Even the service innovation that supports and enhances the surround your offerings. So whatever you offer as a startup entrepreneur, in terms of bringing some innovation in service. Say, for example, you provide some value-added services with your product, say door delivery, or customized product delivery, or 24/7 a product is delivered at the doorsteps of the customer. These kinds of services that supports for the enhancement of value addition. And when it comes to channels of distribution, how your offerings are delivered to customers and users, what time, 24/7, at the doorsteps, at the convenient place, at the convenient time. So these are some of the innovations that can be thought of when it comes to channels of distribution. And the branding, that is representation of your offerings and your business. So you create a brand, make the communication very strong with the customer, and create a kind of psychological satisfaction to the customer. And the brand may be an umbrella brand, or the brand may be a family brand. And any innovation in terms of brand, using a very catchy brand name, or a brand logo, or a brand, what is called as the offering. So that is, innovation when it comes to brand. And customer engagement is most important. And the distinctive interactions that makes you very, very faster and very interactive with the customer. So through your offerings, you engage the customer in the process of in your business process. So a customer is a major stakeholder in the entire startup process as such. So these are some of the important innovative practices when it comes to experience. And then comes the configuration. What is the profit model, and how you make money in the process of your startup as such, and the connections with others to create value, networking with other businesses, with other service providers, with other clients, because you may be having one product or a service. So definitely there are few people whose support is required to make your product successful in the market. In turn, you are also extending a helping hand to all your vendors, all your clients, so that you can extend the market for yourself, as well as you can create a good market and create value for all your people connected with you. And structure-wise also, some innovation is required, alignment of your talent and assets. See, for a startup, the greatest challenge is when they go for expansion, most of the startups are not that successful and their performance is very disappointing. We can take any such examples in the Indian environment or in a global environment. So startup, as far as the idea is concerned, very well, and when they start the business, wonderful, but when they go for expansion, they have several difficulties. One such difficulty is structuring their business and expanding their structure assets. So you can do a lot of innovation and align your talents and assets. That is another important aspect. When it comes to processes, superior methods for doing your work, using latest technology and simplifying the processes, whether it is customer management process, whether it is a manufacturing process, or whether it is your procurement process. So all processes should be made very simple, so that time, money, efforts can be saved, and with technology you can update. So that is one area where innovation could be done. And when it comes to product performance, distinguishing features and functionality of the products. So this is the offerings aspect of innovation. The product may be purchased for a primary reason, but the subsidiary functions or the utilities of the products can be added through innovation. Say you purchase one product for a particular reason, and then you can keep on adding values to the product. With a one product, multiple functions can be added. The best example is the latest Android phone. So it can be used for speaking, can be used for data collection, data gathering, data analysis, dissemination, as a camera, as a video camera, and so it is a most technological gadget like that. That is all out of innovation. And then the product system, complementary products and services. So one product connected with another product, like that. Many products can be connected, added, and a few products can be simplified and given in one bunch as such. So these are different types of innovation in the context of the startups. And see, basically, to understand, we have an approach that is innovation one culture index. That is knowledge management, process, leadership, and resources are the four important aspects, rather the important ingredients of innovation. So basically, for an innovator in any business, it is the decision making based on knowledge. Rather, knowledge decision making is very, very important, and the knowledge transfer and knowledge generation. So these are three important aspects. Rather, you start from knowledge generation and you transfer knowledge. That is the knowledge in terms of an idea into the business, and based on that you have to make a decision. And then when it comes to the processes, you have to empower your employees, your workforce. You have to give them the confidence. You have to educate them. You have to make them understand your innovation and the idea behind innovation, the entire innovation process as such. And then the management of your idea, that is very important. See, when a new idea comes, everybody will be surprised. Some criticisms will come, some acceptance will come, some conflict will come. And finally, a better idea to bring it into practice is management of that idea. And then comes the alignment of idea into the business plan as such. And these two important aspects, that is the knowledge management and the process, should be led by an innovation goals and vision. Innovation is not, it is accidental, rather it is a planned process, and it is not just one step, it is a continuous process. So the organizations which strongly believe in innovation continuous innovation and innovation management. So naturally, an innovation goals and visions should be kept in mind down the line, next 30 years, 40 years, 100 years, 200 years, how that, in what direction that innovation should continue. And connectivity with the employees, that is very, very important. And finally, we need to have a strategic model for the implementation of innovation into the business. See, ideas may be better, wonderful, and it will also be turned into an innovation aspect, but strategically one model is required to adopt the innovation into the business. That's very, very important when it comes to startups. That is where you get the success stories as well as the stories of the failed business or the failure business. So we talk about this Rameshwaram Cafe in Bangalore, very successful startup. Also, we talk about there is one new restaurant which has come up on the Rajajinagar, that is Kakal Kairuchi. That is also a successful business model. So because they are able to convert an idea through an innovation mechanism and fit that into the strategic business model. So this is one important aspect. And then comes the resources in terms of human resources and intellectual abilities and financial resources. So the employees, the skills and the creativity in converting the innovation into the best practices. So the learned employees, rather capacity building of the employees is very, very important. The contemporary skill set and the creativity of the employees and the motivation of the employees and their commitment for the innovation and organizational learning. This is the concept of lifelong learning. And not all the employees, see the Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. Not all the employees will stuck at the physiological needs level. So definitely there is crux for learning, crux for establishment, crux for proving some efficiency. So definitely organizational learning and technologies in financial support is required for the effective implementation of innovation in any business and more particularly in the startups. Basically, why innovation is required? With this basic question, innovation is required to see that the business is a dynamic system and there should be growth for a business. So if your business is stagnant, probably one of the major reasons is you are not working on the innovation. So therefore, for the growth of the business, for the development of the business, innovation is required. And to create a kind of unique brand for your business, identification for the business, stand out for the in the entire business gamut as such, innovation is required. And most importantly, why innovation is required means the customer needs and their tastes are so fast changing that to meet the needs of the customers, the unique requirement of the customers, innovation is the most important tool, most important mantra for any business and for the startups. Because the customer expectations are very much rising, and we make a statement normally that today's product becomes obsolete tomorrow. It is basically because the technological shock as well as the expectations of the customers. So there is ever increasing expectations and a change in the requirement of the customers. So to meet the high demands of the customers, innovation is very much required. And coming to some of the important aspects of understanding unique practices in India. So basically, what are the unique practices? Understand the various fascinating and unique practices in India. This understanding enables to design the business practices that are desi in nature. Basically, our Indian society is very, very vibrant society. And the culture is very, very, there is a diversity in the culture, in the food, in the language, in the literature, in the practices, in the spirituality, religion. So Indian society is very vibrant, and it is, there is a diversity in the Indian society. So Indian startups, if they make an attempt to understand about the Indian society, and if they develop an understanding of the society and the belief system and the value system of the people of this country, with their which are desi in character and desi in nature. Say, best example is we are now celebrating the Dasara Navaratri. Maybe after a few weeks, we'll be celebrating Diwali. Just a few months, 1 month or 2 months ago, we celebrated Ganesh Chaturthi. Before that, we celebrated Varma Lakshmi. Maybe after a few months, we'll be celebrating Ugadi. And then in the month of January, we'll be celebrating Sankranti. So these festivals are most important sources, and they are the way to understand the Indian society as it. So the entire ecosystem is created when a festival is to be celebrated. So there are a lot of opportunities for the startup and potential startup entrepreneurs if they try to understand the Indian society and the Indian culture, Indian festivals, Indian practices. That helps in designing the business models that are native in nature, native in the character. Say, for example, Diwali, a lot of scope for the products and services connected with the festival as such, and it connects to the masses and helps in retaining the Indian practices. See, if you don't get rain in rural areas, they perform a particular puja and perform a particular function. So there are a lot of product services connected with that. And on Shivaratri, you do a lot of programs in the night. And on Ugadi, you do a lot of practices connected with many religious and spiritual activities. So like that, basically an Indian entrepreneur or a startup innovator has to understand the Indian business environment, which gives him a lot of inputs. And based on the Indian environment, many products can be developed. And to quote a few, the value addition, when if you enter into any hotel and somebody greets with a namaste, that gives you a lot of happiness. The moment you travel and go to a hotel, somebody invites you with a namaste, automatically all your tensions will come down, and you feel psychologically so much happy. So this is how you understand the Indian business environment. Similarly, if you go to Japan, there is a different way of greeting. If you go to US, there is a different way of greeting. But if somebody visits India, he holding both the hands and with a symbol of namaste, you invite them. Naturally, the product of psychological value addition happens. So these are some small important aspects which is very much required to understand the Indian environment. And coming to our festivals and religious practices, see, any festival for that matter, people gather and they celebrate. It may be Raksha Bandhan, it may be Holi, it may be Ganeshotsav, it may be Ugadi, it may be Sankranti, or any festival for that matter. People, gather and they celebrate. There is a unique, way of celebrating. So these practices are the best opportunities for the Indian entrepreneurs to understand. See, to quote another unique, successful startup in Bangalore, there is one Puja Prapancha in NR Colony. You find all sorts of, puja related, worship related, products there. So this is, how you understand the Indian, business environment, our religious practices. Maybe the Kumbh Mela is one such example which I can give, or Pushkaralu on the Godavari belt, Godavari banks I can share. Similarly, many such religious practices and festivals are connected with the Indian startups and Indian innovation and innovative businesses for that matter. And basically, the family structure now rarely we find the joint families, and joint family is one major source where people used to live together and share their value system and share their belief system. In fact, it is a kind of taking care of everyone in the family, and every person has a specific role to play. Even in the modern marketing approach also, that the people who play different roles like the initiator, influencer, decider, buyer, user. So that structure can be connected with the joint family, whether it is taking up a startup business or as a customer for the startup business, the family is the major source. And maybe we all were belonging to joint families, and now the joint family structure is it is not as it was a few decades ago, but still we can get some inspiration from this joint family system which is prevailing in our society, and the requirements of different members of the joint family can be addressed by the startups and by the innovators. So this is one major source when you look at the Indian practice as such. And our architecture science behind the temples, there is a huge scope for, to quote one example, there is one company, a startup in Mysore, that is Royal Mysore Walks. One software engineer from Mysore, he was working in Bangalore for a software company. After a few years, he resigned, went back to his hometown and started a company called Royal Mysore Walks. So his idea is to take the tourist visitors and explain them the historical places in Mysuru on all the 365 days and giving them a value-added service. Similarly, our pilgrimage places, our temples. See, take the example of Karnataka. If you go to Badami, Aihole, Pattadakallu, see from one by one, see this Badami, you can see the improved version, and if you go to Pattadakallu and Haile, a previous version you can see. So you can develop your innovative startups, these tourist center based, historical center based, pilgrimage center based, and you can develop the customer services. You can develop the travel services, tourism services, hospitality services. So there is a huge opportunity for the potential entrepreneurs, especially when they look at our very rich architecture and very rich temples, and there is a science and the technology behind the temples. I can quote the temple. There is a temple at Tamil Nadu, that is Chidambaram. There is an Natarajar temple, and it is based on the principle, constructed based on the principle of gravity. So quite interesting understanding, the temples and the history behind the temples, and there is a huge opportunity for the potential entrepreneurs, provided they understand the importance of our architecture, Beluru, Alebedu for that matter. So these are some of the important sources of understanding our environment. And our marriages see, now the marriages are with modern touch, they are celebrated, and photo shoots are made, and 3 days marriages are made. Simple marriages are also made. 1 hour marriages are also made. But the requirements for a marriage will be taken care by the event manager. So event management has come up as a new profession that is also highly innovative, and it is completely based on the budget of a marriage party, or the person who is arranging the marriage, based required arrangements. Accordingly, based on the budget, whether it is a simple budget or whether it is a big budget marriage, a lot of innovative things are brought into this marriage celebration. So this unique marriage system and the rituals connected with the marriage can be seen in our environment. The different parts of the country, but there are certain practices which are very common, and an entrepreneur can develop on these things and create a very good value-added product and services to the clients and customers as such. Our Indian art, music, and dance. There are different variety of dances. Like we have Kathak, Kathakali, Bharatanatyam, Yakshagana, and we have Dollu Kunita. We have folk dances and our classical music and folk music. There are different variety of dance and music, and a mix of dance and music like Harikatha and Burrakatha. Like this, there are many such art and music which provides a lot of scope for our entrepreneurs to work on and see that these very precious music and dance can be brought closer to the people, because very rich culture we have. Every state is known for a particular form of dance and a particular form of music, and these music and dance can be brought to very closer to the people through innovative products, through innovative services. I can quote a few examples of our folk singers and our classical singers teaching music to the people who are in different parts of the country and different parts of the world using the technology. So that is an innovative, startup. It is not just a business, but a very innovative, useful, and also it is an important initiative to protect the very precious culture of our country, very precious music of our country. So these are some of the important areas where we can think of bringing new startups and new areas for exploring the possibilities. And most important aspect is the food, the Indian food, variety of food from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. We find different variety of food. So when people visit different parts of the country, they try to explore the food, that is local food that is available. So naturally, there is a lot of scope for the entrepreneurs in the food industry. My friend was telling in a lighter sense that whoever wants to become a startup entrepreneur, he starts with the food industry. I don't know. Somehow this food industry appears to be very attractive. Many new cafes, cafeterias, and hotels in different forms and different styles are created on a daily basis. But again, not all the experiments which are made in the food industry are sustained because of when it comes to expansion, there are a lot of issues, technical issues. But anyway, this is Indian food is one a very big area where our startup entrepreneurs and potential entrepreneurs can do a lot of experiments and do a lot of innovation, and see that they make the food reach the food lovers especially. And when it comes to this, see, you go to any state, you find the food of another state. For example, if you go to Jaipur, there is a restaurant where you get the South Indian food. Similarly, in Bangalore, you get Chinese food, you get North Indian food, you get South Indian food, you get typical Tamil Nadu food, like that. If you go to Andhra, you get all these different variety of foods as such. So this is one important area, and easily this particular area, food industry, whether it is a packed food or whether it is a fresh food, whether it is a processed food or a food ingredient like a masala powders or vegetable made food or any food for that matter, attracts many entrepreneurs. So several experiments are made on a daily basis in the food industry. Probably this is for the major reason is food is essential, and Indian culture is this dasoha. If at all you would like to get a smile on somebody's face, we think when his stomach is full, he feels very happy. So therefore, the dasoha, akshara dasoha and anna dasoha find important role. So a lot of innovation is possible, and it is happening in food industry. Similarly, yoga and Indian martial art is one area where many entrepreneurs have done startups. To quote this Panchakarma Ayurveda Chikitsa or naturotherapy centers, you can find at least there is one place at near Mandya, there is a place at Udupi, there is a place on the outskirts of Bangalore for this Ayurvedic treatment, and there are natural places where homestays are created, and these different kinds of baths, head bath, oil bath, and several types of steam bath, and natural way of regeneration for the body and mind. So through the Indian martial yoga and Indian natural also martial art. In Kerala, there is a martial art called as Kalariya Patte. So that is one Desi art. Similarly, our Mallakamba in Karnataka and our Kusti, that is Indian wrestling. So these are some of the important areas where there is scope for bringing up these using these Indian yoga and yogic related and natural therapies. There is a scope for development, and also our language. Indian language language is one area, multilingual setup that whatever we have. So therefore we have the translation. There is a lot of scope for translation, and mostly even in the modern times, especially in the advertisement domain, to make the advertisements more effective and to advertise in the local languages. There is a lot of scope for the advertising companies and startup entrepreneurs who can translate and write the advertising copy for the local markets. There is a depth of such companies, and using the local flavor and developing an advertisement, and it may be in the print form, or it may be in the electronic form, or it may be a visual form. There is a lot of scope because we have many languages. So in every language there is a need for communication. So also print media as well as electronic media, there is a huge scope. And also even in other areas like translating the literature from one language to another language, and writing scripts for the movies, scripts for the TV serials, and scripts for the documentaries. These are some of the areas where the entrepreneurs and the startups can think of. Also simplifying our Indian literature and translating into different languages and publishing in the form of simple books, simplified books. So these are some of the important areas available for the startups. And then what are the unique practices? So there is unique selling proposition. All the marketing professionals understand when somebody introduces a product, the next question is what is the USP? Why a customer should prefer your product? If you look at these three circles, what the consumer wants and what your brand does well and what your competitor does well. So there is a intersection between what the consumer wants and what your brand does well. That is the green area. This is the winning area. So your efforts meet the expectations of your customer. That is your USP. A clear point of difference that meets the needs, make it even bigger. So you overtake your customer expectations. That is very, very important. What the customer wants and what your brand does well. And your losing area is your competitor meets the consumer needs better than you do. So you will be crushed. Supposing customer wants something, you have failed to do that, whereas your competitor is eager and is in a wonderful position. He addresses the issue of a consumer. So you're lost there. And what is risky is in the competitive battleground, use emotion, innovative, superior execution. That is very, very important. So you promise many things and you touch the hearts of the customers using the emotion. Your product is highly innovative and you have to execute it at a superior level. That is more important. And many times competitors battle in areas the consumer just does not care about, have fun wasting your time. So this is, you have to be very cautious on this. So the consumers, they don't worry about what the competitor makes. He is only concerned who is carrying him. That is very, very important. So in spite of many efforts made by the competitors, the customer is not worried about. what he does. So this is how you can understand the three important aspects of this unique selling proposition. So you have to be very careful as a potential entrepreneur, understanding the Indian business ecosystem, Indian business environment, and our culture, our practices, and the mindset of our consumers, their family structure, and the decision makers in the family. And then you have to meet the expectations of the consumers. Fine. And let us see what is happened to the Indian startups. What is the current setup? After an uncertain of 2022 and 23, all of us know the hit of the corona has brought resurgent startups revisit strategies to emerge stronger. See, there was one gentleman, one young startup entrepreneur. He started before COVID. He started this sanitizer business, and everybody was on the negative side. Whereas during this COVID, he is the most successful in business because that was a perfect timing for him. The change in consumer behavior, although it is enterprise tech, e-commerce, and fintech remain the most prominent sectors at this point. So if you look at what is happening in the domain of the startups, it is in spite of several changes in the consumer behavior, their rational decision making, impulse buying behavior, all that, the tech-based companies and the e-commerce companies and the fintech companies remain to be on the top of the successful companies list. The unique business ideas developed around electronic vehicles, logistics and supply chain, and clean energy, food tech, gaming is also quite interesting. So they are also performing very well. And when it comes to this startups specializing in fintech, EV, gaming, edtech, and agri-tech, climate tech, logistics, food tech, and travel tech are also on the rise. So these are some of the startups which are doing very well. And there is a renewed focus on digitalizing employee-employer communications and workflow collaboration. This is as a result of the work from home setup and the work from home understanding, this digitalizing the employee-employer communication. Most of the companies, especially IT and ITS companies, hardly the employer meets the employee. Rather, the employee gets a very rare opportunity to meet physically the employer. But most of the workflow and work collaboration happens through the technology platforms as such. And fine, when it comes to the Indian startups, what is the current setup? This is the list of top startups in the Indian during the last, in the year 2023. So I have a list. This full list of top startups. Zepto, which has about a full-time headcount of 1,400 plus, having its headquarters at Mumbai. And this is a quick commerce company delivering groceries and essentials across 10 cities in India. Mumbai-based startup raised 200 million in August and became India's first unicorn of 2023. Blue Smart is another company with a employee strength of 620, having its headquarters in Gurugram. It was founded in 2018. It is electric ride hailing services in Delhi and Bengaluru with about 4,500 strong electric car fleet, which was started in 2019, and the startup is planning to expand this fleet to 10,000 cars by the end of this year. And there is one Ditto Insurance having a headcount of 250 plus, having its headquarters in Bengaluru, and Pocket FM, about 480 headcount, and audio series platform Pocket FM offering audio entertainment across multiple in the Indian, all Indian languages. And this Skyroot Aerospace in another company. Like this, we have about 10 top, tech-based edutech or communication technology-based. Growth School is quite interesting, about 180. This is a partners with instructors to create cohort-based courses on personal and professional growth, topics like marketing, design, and business. And so these are some of the top companies. Exponent Energy is another company with a full-time headcount of 185, having its headquarters in Bengaluru, which was started just about 3 years ago. The mission to simplify energy for the electric vehicles and offers a 15-minute rapid charging solution. So they have charging centers where the power can be charged within 15 minutes. Like this, see, there is one Travclon, which is about 190 plus headcounts, having its headquarters at New Delhi. Is a B2B platform offering business solutions for travel companies, which include flight and hotel bookings, travel websites, all that. And DotPay is another company having its headquarters at Gurugram. It is solutions for omni-channel selling, which include point of sale, e-commerce website, QR payments, and delivery. Full stock food tech offering for food and beverages companies. So these are some of the important top 20 companies. This Facel is another company with about 170 headcounts, having its headquarters in Bangalore. Started in 2018. It's a full stack platform for horticulture farming, which started with the mission of removing the guesswork from the farming through its all-driven platform. The company provides farmers.
The slide is been frozen. If you are still, we are seeing list of top startups in India.
Yeah, another 10 minutes.
Okay.
7 o'clock, I should end now.
Sir. But the slide is frozen if you're showing some other slide. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So this is what are the lessons for the potential entrepreneurs. There are about a few lessons, like focus on what you want to accomplish. This is very, very important. So have clarity in your thoughts and your vision, mission, goals, objectives as a entrepreneur. Adjust for a reasonable margin of error. See, always there is a possibility, in spite of your focus, in spite of your effort, there is a possibility for going things out of your control. So you should have a reasonable margin for that. And then start working with a mentor. This is very, very important. The under training and working with a mentor and taking guidance and consultation is very, very important. Experienced startup coach are available. So taking help from them is guidance from them. Very, very important. Accept clients who are the right fit. This is more important. So not all are your customers, but definitely there are few customers who are available for you and who are fit for your purpose as such. So pick up the right customers, right clients is another important aspect. Understand the playing field and competition. So level playing ground. Understanding the level playing ground and the extent of competition that is prevailing in the selected domain of your entrepreneurship is very, very important. And then sometimes things does not work, but still you have to enjoy that downtime also, because always you should have a confidence that going down is coming up with a galloping speed as such. Understand the rule of 5. That is, when going global is important, it will take 5 times more effort, time and money to make your global expansion a success. Understanding local laws, culture, infrastructure, and work practices is just the beginning of your expansion journey. So you have to put in a lot of efforts, at least not less than 5 times of normal efforts as such, and surround yourself with people you trust. That is very, very important. So people who are confident and who are trust worthy, and they keep faith on you about your ideas and your vision as such. Connect with the current business leaders, having connectivity with the business leaders in other domains or in your own domain across the business gamut as such. Be willing to ask for more and learn from others. Interacting with the people in the particular segment and learning from them is very, very important. Create a solid structured business plan and how you should take it forward, how to go about, and then get to it. That is for aspiring entrepreneurs is simply to get to it. Don't waste time with advanced research. Have the smartness to catch what is the opportunity that is available, examine the consequences of your choices. So you have to be very careful in choosing. It is not that I regret the choices I made. Sometimes the choice you took was forced upon you by circumstances beyond your control. So you have to examine the consequences of your choices and spend time on a growth plan. So you have to spend time on how much time you should take for the growth of your business. And then you have to think like a CEO, gain industry experience. This is very, very important because knowing more about the industry practices and the industry pulse, understanding the industry pulse provide you a very clear understanding. So that can probably expand your canvas as such. And marketing research is very, very important, as it is very difficult to understand the changing needs of the customer. So therefore, now it is the data-based decisions. So the business analytics should be used as a major input for all your market research and market decisions. Define the product and forge a roadmap, what kind of product you develop and how that product is capable of addressing the issues of the consumer. And finally, start the delegation process. So not everything can be done by the entrepreneur. So an entrepreneur has to delegate the various assignments to his workforce as such. So fine. What are the road forward? It is think local and act global. So an Indian startup entrepreneur has to understand the local environment and expand his market to the global market as such, and understand the nativity. What is the crux of the local environment, business environment, and creativity and innovation is the key for success. So it is lifelong creativity and lifelong innovation that is very much required for any business, whether it is small in size or a very giant in the entire sector as such. And then there are a lot of opportunities potentially available for growth. And only thing is we have to find where the gray area is, and we have to tap that gray area. And continuous labor, continuous efforts, and sustainable efforts are required. And international market, there is always a risk, but also with a lot of opportunities. The international market can be tapped and fine. A local entrepreneur also many a times gets competition from the global giants. So finally, concentrating on the local markets and satisfying the local customers, and then think of growth and making the business at the global level. So fine, I think I have stopped at the right time because I've been given a slot of about 1 hour. Sindhuja madam, what is the time?
Yes, sir. You are on time.
Yeah. And now if any questions are there,
Yes,
I can take.
there are a lot of questions.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm getting into the first question. Dr. Rupa Kulkarni.
Yeah.
Sir, I teach subject innovation and design thinking for first semester engineering students. How can we give such example more resources to incorporate in teaching the course?
Yes, madam. See, innovation cannot be taught in the classroom. Only thing is you can motivate the students, and they can study some cases, I can give you some, books which you can refer to your students. The best book is one, The Storm the Norm, which is written by Ranjan Malik. I think Rupa Madam, you can note down this book, Storm the Norm, which is written by Ranjan Malik. So you can, you also, if you have not read, you please read this book, and you can suggest this book for your students, especially engineering students, management students. Because there are a lot of techniques that they can get from the real life examples of innovation. So only thing is, we can share some success stories, how I did today, like that. Similarly, you can quote the examples of successful as well as failure stories with the student, and you can pep up them and motivate them, and with a understanding of the Indian business environment through these research articles and research books, and some of the success story books are available. I just gave you one example so that you can make them study these books, and later you can make them debrief in the classroom, disseminate whatever that they have read in the classroom, and allow them to discuss about these stories after reading the book. And similarly, you can make a group of students with say 5 to 6 students and pick up a book, study about the innovation journey of a particular corporate, and come back to the classroom, allow them to present, and on that you can have a deliberation. Probably this way they can open up their mind and start thinking on the innovation lines. Yes, madam.
Coming to the second question, sir, could you share few specific unique lessons, practices from Bharatiya style of management by Indian entrepreneurs or startups?
Wonderful. I will just give you one small example. In Kolar district, that is my native place, there is one small taluka called Srinivaspura. There is a small village in Srinivaspur, Gundamanatta. So in Gundamanatta, there is one rural women entrepreneur by name Ratnamma. She is a successful rural entrepreneur, and she has even she is not a management graduate from any big B school. Just she started this Siridhanya business, and very successful business. Many corporates are visiting, and many B school professors and their graduates and teachers are visiting Kundamanatta village. And if you find time, you can also find on the this public domain, and you can visit that place. Very successfully she has made business. So like that. There is one more story in the North Karnataka. One women, very successful business with a small piece of land. They have cultivated through this portfolio farming technique, and they have grown, different, vegetables and grains, and they are very successful. They are very, very successful. So like that. Many such Bharatiya style of management practices are there, and our joint family business practices are there. So we have to pick up, such techniques, and we can use it appropriately by the entrepreneurs when they go for new startups.
So coming to the next question is about sharing the PPT that we will do that
Yes,
for participants. And
yeah.
so question from Narendra ji. So Dr. Muralidhar sir, till date we are hearing and looking startups in one way, that is Western way only. Thanks to Muralidhar sir, but can we have startups Bharatiya way in different angles, multiple aspects?
Yeah, definitely.
And one more question, sir, from Professor Ashok Kumar, sir. Could you suggest the ways to gain from losing zone?
Ways to gain?
From losing zone.
So can you just please repeat the question, madam?
Could you suggest the ways to gain from losing zone?
Losing zone. Losing zone, you mean?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For Narendra's question. See, a lot of research has to happen with regard to developing Indian or Bharatiya business models for the entrepreneurs. One way is, see, some of our, we are hearing and looking startups. Yeah, 1 second. Ways to gain from, okay. Yeah, now I am getting the questions. Madam, can you just...
Could you suggest the ways to gain from losing zone?
Yeah. See, before that, I was just answering Narendra's question. See, there are many management professionals from Indian origin, like Professor C.K. Prahalad ji. He has in his book The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid, he has very clearly mentioned where the entire opportunities are available in the Indian market as such, but still a lot of research work has to happen here and there. Serious efforts are made, but probably we have to bring all that in one nutshell to make it as a Indian theory and Indian model, Bharatiya model to take up the business. But definitely many are very, very successful. Our own corporates in a very ethical way, whether it is a big corporate or a small startup as such, Indian ethos are the foundations for their success as such. Ways to gain from the losing zone. Probably I request Professor Ashok Kumar to elaborate his question. I'm understanding it from a different dimension. If he can elaborate his question, probably I'll be able to take up. So please, Ashok ji, can you elaborate your question?
There's a hand raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you please?
Yeah, I am allowing to talk. Sir, you can speak now.
Ashok ji, can you please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in your presentation, when you are explaining what the customer wants and how our competitors, there was 3 circles and there was a red zone.
Yeah.
You called it a losing zone.
Oh, that one. Okay,
so my question is how we can
convert that. Fine. Got it. Okay. In the context of that 3 circles. Fine.
For our business.
Yeah. Fine. No, I was under the I got it. I was under the impression how a startup person can get into an area where it is very difficult to success and how they can prove themselves. So in that context, I was thinking, fine, coming in the context of the 3 circles, how to gain from the losing zone. See, basically you have to find out what are the reasons for your failure as such and what special efforts the competitor is making. See, there should be some something the swag. When you do this swag of your competitor, normally you do swag of yourself. What is your strength, what is your weakness, what is your challenge, and what is your what are the challenges, opportunities. So similarly, you have to do the swap with your competitor. What is his strength? What is his weakness? What are the opportunities and what are the challenges for your competitor? And that you try to understand probably. That means first you try to understand yourself and then you make an attempt to understand your customer. Finally, if you are not able to understand your customer and how your competitor is able to understand your customer. So that you have to do. So you make a swag of your competitor, understand what are his strong areas and what are his weak areas. So his weak areas are your strength. You have to convert your competitor's weak areas into your strength. And you have to make your offerings more customer friendly, more acceptable to the customer. And you have to use various like strategies when it comes to product, price, people, place, physical evidence process, all that you have to make appropriate changes, and then you can convert the losing zone into a most successful area for you. You will definitely have control on your losing zone also. So you try to understand your customer better than anybody. Also, you understand your competitor. That is very, very important. See, when you are planning means planning for yourself. When you are coming out with a strategy, definitely a counter for your competitor as such. I think hope I have justified. Now I have answered your question, Ashok.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, I think the questions are completely like it was. We are in with the questions, sir. So, we will, if with your permission, if it is okay with you, we will share your presentation. With
Yeah,
the
yeah.
questions few of them were asking. So now it is the end of the today's day 2 Navaratri lecture series session. So I let me congratulate all the participants who are made this event successful for the day 2. And on behalf of Center for Education and Social Studies, I I thank from bottom of from my heart to Dr. Muralidhar sir for giving such a
Thank you,
great
madam.
explanation.
Thank you very much. I thank each one of you, all the participants, for a very active participation. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
For explaining all the putting the agenda, unique practices, what are the in a simple but subtle way. You explained all the complexities, and that's the unique part of your presentation, sir. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and the questions from the participants also indicates how it is provoking for them to think about from new different ways. And thank you so much, sir. And I
Thank you.
thank all the participants
Thank
for
you.
being with us. And please have patience with the presentation. We will collect from all the speakers and together we will share it across to you. So bear with us. Tomorrow's session, so before we conclude our today's session, so it's a gentle reminder, tomorrow we are having 2 sessions from Professor Dr. Ashok H.S. Speaking about key Indian concepts for management, and Dr. Manasa Nagabhushanam, the director of Ramaya Institute of Management, on speaking on comparing assumption in Western and Indian management thought. So the third day, so we look forward with the same zeal and spirit with all of you. And once again,
Hinduja, madam.
yes, sir.
Sorry for the interruption. I have an important job to do. I thank my 2 friends who have helped me. One is Dr. Narendra sir and Dr. Sairam sir. They have done a lot of research along with me for this presentation. So thank you, Dr. Narendra, and thank you, Dr. Sairam sir. Please, madam, please continue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you so much for the whole team and all. At the end of the day, the people who are supportive for this session, directly, indirectly from the CES team, I thank each and every one of you. Thank you. Wish you happy Navaratri and day 2 of celebration. See you soon tomorrow.